Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Prepper podcast. And I'm joined by our guest today, Urban Prepper UK. No, you're not seeing double. I'm UK Urban Prepper. He's got Urban Prepper UK as his name, but it's actually the Urban Survivalist on YouTube. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, great. We had a few technical bugs, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Good to be here. Good to be here with you, Matt.
Excellent. Right. Well, I'm going to start you off with the stupid question everyone always thinks, but it's a stigma around the name. So I always ask everyone, do you class yourself as a prepper?
No.
No.
But yes. No, but yes.
Okay.
I used to be called the Urban Prepper, and I used to be called like the UK Prepper guy, and I started off as a prepper, and as I evolved in my journey of prepping, I become what I like to call a prep-steader.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm kind of like I'm not your run-of-the-mill prepper, as I'd say. We're more varied in our skill set, more varied in our knowledge, I would say, as well, and the equipment we store and use. So,
Okay.
yeah, so kind of yes and no on that one.
So would you say prep-steading's closer to like what we think of as homesteading then?
I would say so. I mean, to be honest, we do all the homesteading skills, but yet we also do the prepper skills. And like I say, I'm an MMA instructor, so I teach a lot of self-defense. I do urbex. I do lots of prepper things, but also I incorporate the homesteading and the outside stuff, the foraging and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say closer to a homesteader than mainstream kind of prepper. I would say, yeah.
I like the MMA thing. I did see about you. And I left my medal out, my MMA white collar medal. Just
oh yeah.
I did the 6 weeks training and then jump in the octagon kind of thing. You know,
that's
the
awesome.
White collar
that's
thing.
Awesome.
Tommy Blackledge. He used to be a UFC fighter. He's one that trained us up in Wigan.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Good. That's good. I'm still fighting. I'm 51, and I still spar every week, and you know.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's one thing, to be fair, I've not really put into my preps. It's something that's been on it's something I've done in the past. I've done boxing, I've done stuff like that, but if it comes to the crunch, do I remember any of it? I don't know. That's the thing.
I think that's a big thing, isn't it? I mean, the reason I involve this in my prepping and stuff like that is because I come from quite a rough background, and a rough areas and rough background, and I know the way people can be just in everyday life. So you take that into an extreme situation, it becomes fucking like hostile. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so I think you have to have some sort of either self-defense skills or some sort of ways to protect yourself. Because this is one thing I realized is like, and I see this in a lot of prepper community, they go and they show all their things and they show all their stuff on there. And I sit there and think like, you're like 5 foot tall, you're like 9 stone. And it's like, how are you going to protect that? I hope you have some plans to do that, because I think in any shit hits the fan situation, I think all the preppers will agree, your worst enemy is just your neighbor or people who know you, you know?
People who get desperate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're both, parents, so you'd do anything for your kids. So if you weren't that prepper and you're in that situation where your kids needs the food, you will get desperate, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen them on Black Friday with the TVs, haven't you, in America? Oh. It's like they get 30 quid off a TV and they're fucking killing each other.
The terrible TVs as well. It's never one of the good ones.
I know, but it's like, so you imagine, like, if they were starving, what they would do. It's I think people have to, I think where I'm going with it, Mike, is a lot of the things we cover are overlooked by a lot of the prepper community. And that's not as disrespect to the prepper community, because I'm part of it, and like we have friends and they all have different skills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was I quickly browsed over one of your videos, and you were saying that, like, you could have all the tools and equipment in the world, but if you don't have like the stamina, the mindset and stuff like that, or even the skills, you're not going to be able to do anything with it.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people just buy stuff and never practice with it. You know, they've never started that fire. They've never had to cook a meal from scratch. The simplest things. Somebody was talking about the other day. They're stockpiling rice and they didn't know how to cook rice. It's like, maybe you should learn that before SHTF, you know. So,
I mean, I've got to be honest. I mean, I've seen some funny things in the prepper community. You always get the types. There's quite stereotypes, and I can see why we get stereotypes across the board, because you get the military preppers that are like they all dress in camouflage. They've got like their bloody airsoft weapons and stuff like that, and you know, and then you get the bushcrafters that consider themselves preppers, but good at bushcraft. You know, you get the wild campers that say they're preppers, and there's so many different kind of like things, but a lot of them are one trick horses.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got the military background, and that's what kind of got me on the path. But it's nothing like this. You can be all out, because if, for example, the bushcraft and the wild camping, if that was all you did in this tiny country, in our tiny amount of wilderness, where are you going to bug out to? You can't just go out into the Pennines and survive for 10 years, because you're going to 300 people are going to find you in the first week.
Exactly. And this is a point I made on one of my lives, because I've got a lot of people that don't like the fact that I'm an urban survivalist. And I said to him, I said, right, I want to give you a scenario now, and for your listeners as well. So I'll give you a scenario. I said, so you're sat indoors and shit goes down, whatever that's been, like power out, says civil unrest, I said everything. I said, so first of all, right, you go into the woods. I said, do you live near the woods? If not, you've got to drive there. The roads are going to be chocker for a start. You're not going to get out of any road, so you're going to be able to have to walk. So I said, like, have you ever walked with your pack on to the woods, to your bug out locations or anything like this? I said, if not, I said, like, why not? I said, once you finally get to the woods, I said, do you know how to go grey man and get through all this shit and actually get to the woods without getting robbed, beaten up, you know, or anything else? I said, and then when you actually get to the woods, do you know how to procure water, food? Do you know how to purify your water? Do you know how to make shelter and fire? Do you know how to protect the areas once you're there? There's so much to think about. And I think so many people, as you might agree, just go like, do you know, I'm going to the woods to bug out.
Yeah, but I'm gonna sit there with me $9.99 tent with a giant fire, telling everyone where I am,
and a fucking moody ration pack. Do you know what I mean? But it's like my lesson is, like, I think what I try to teach people is local knowledge. Local knowledge is the biggest skill you can have. You know, and if you've seen my YouTube or anything like that, I do urbex, I go local foraging. Everything is in my local area.
Yeah,
you know, and I think like me being Ed Stafford or anything, learning to survive on a desert island is all great and well, but how the fuck is that going to help me in the middle of Lewisham when it's kicking off? Do you know what I mean? Or like, you know, it's not. So it's
it was. I never thought of bugging out. I've always thought of like bugging in as obviously the number one, but I always had Lee from the Bug Out Shop came on the podcast. And he said to me, he said, like, well, you know, if your area completely gets overrun, you might have to get out. And it's the first time I've thought maybe, so I've got a bug out plan now, but it's all based around getting to a secondary location, not surviving in the wilderness, not living in the highlands, but going to a secondary location that's actually still a proper place, you know. So
I take it you've got a plan to get there as well. So
I've got plan A, B, and I'm working on C at the moment. In the end of August, I'm walking 91 miles.
Wow,
I'm doing it for charity, but it's a good test.
Yeah, absolutely.
My workplace is 80 miles away over the Pennines. So if I ever had tab back.
Yeah.
You know, I've done stuff like that in the past, but you know, I'm 40 now, so it's kind of like maybe I've not 20 anymore.
Young pup.
I'm still not 20.
I'm 51 on Monday, so it's like I mean, it was only literally like a year or so ago. We was doing do you know Kent at all?
Kent.
But
Kent,
I'm in Kent, right? But we've got Folkestone in Kent, and you've got the North Downs Way, so it's hill walking. And it's got some stupid of an elevation of 3,000 feet or something. It's like walking a mountain.
Yeah.
And me and my brother used to go hiking down there with 32 kilo packs on, and we did hill walking. and we did 56 miles in 2 days of hill walking.
Nice.
And the fitness that it took to actually do that, it was a shock to the system, because we can walk miles.
Yeah.
But when you're having to go across cross country, hilly terrain, wind, rain, and then obviously you're not used to doing that, it's a big shock.
Yeah.
I don't think I could walk. If I'm honest, I couldn't walk for about 3 days after.
This is my worry. I'm doing increments at the moment, and I did like 10 miles the other day, and that was pretty much uphill the whole way. And it was the afterwards, and I'm thinking it's got to get to the stage where you're doing that, and then the next day you're waking up and doing it straight away. So, but yeah, it boils down to, I know this is a third plan, but I have to try it. I have to practice.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, your channel's great. Anyone who doesn't already know the channel, it's all going to be in the description, but I'll pop it across the bottom there. It's the Urban Survivalist 1141. So go and give them a subscribe. It's self-defense, it's urban exploration, which I love them videos, by the way. Gear reviews, prepper skills, homestead stuff, allotment stuff. It's great. There's absolutely loads on there. There's a wealth of knowledge on the channel. So yeah, you've got to check that out. You're on the same sort of level as me as well, where we're never going to be these massive YouTubers because we don't buy into the fear mongering. And it's not all doom and gloom, right? So it's a conscious thing to not do that, right?
I think absolutely. I think it's like in my last video I did, it was like about preppers, like how they like to promote the fear to kind of explain away their belief system or their prepper, why they prep. So just in case we have World War III, or like we got this happening, it's like it's like people hope for disaster so they can, because their lives are mundane. I mean, I don't mean that horribly, but it's like I prepare, I have a good life. I'm not wealthy, like you said. I'm never going to be a big YouTuber. It's not in my plan anyway. My plan when I started YouTube and the groups was to actually build a community, which I've actually done, which we've met people. I've trained people. I took people out teaching them how to set traps and stuff like that.
That's great,
even though you're not really allowed to do it in the UK, but we take them all down and make them safe. But good skills to have in an emergency.
Definitely.
So that was my idea of it. So basically, the community side of it, I think, is so important. So if stuff goes down, it's like you said before, you can have all the gear in the world, and even all the skills in the world. But if you've got no one to help you and you sat there on your own, and you get 5 or 6 blokes kicking your door in, it's like, what can you do?
This is it. You've probably already answered my next question as well, which I ask everyone is, what's your mentality behind it, as in lone wolf, mutual assistance group, an actual community? What's your kind of foundation for SHTF?
Well, to be honest, I think it would be like a community, but a closed community. I think it's difficult because when you try and get community, there's so many egos in play. Do you know what I mean? There is literally so many egos in play, and when you try to build communities, it's like, and it's difficult to overcome those differences with other people. So a lot of people tend to go lone wolf, so they don't have to deal with all the politics and the shit. But unfortunately, with every community, you're going to have some sort of politics or structure, at least.
I've started laying the foundations for a kind of community, but I could see them problems already. Not obvious, but you could see them starting to arise, sort of thing. So it's something to consider. So what started you on this journey? That's always a good question, because some people it's a way of life. I mean, I was always brought up to have a full pantry. Some people it's like, oh, this happened, and and that's what got me on the wagon. So what started it for you?
I think, to be honest, I think like yourself, I grew up, because I'm like 51 nearly. So my mum always had a pantry, Gran had a pantry. They always had stuff in. So when it was like money was scarce and that, they had things to go to. My dad was a baker. he was a head baker. My mum was like a house cook, so hence I'm an ex-chef as well. So it's like I know how to cook. But to be honest, the London riots, I think, was what did it for me. When I saw,
interesting, yeah,
I saw that because I'm from a big town. I'm from Northampton. I've lived in London. I've lived all over the place, and I've realised that, you know, if the actual shit goes down like that, civil unrest, how powerful that can be. Does that make sense? It's like if you've ever seen videos of Venezuela where they're all starving, and there was a shop and they're trying to barricade in this shop, and there's a family trying to, shopkeepers, you see on camera, and all of a sudden, like, they're banging, hundreds of people are banging on the door to this shop trying to kick in and that. So they get a truck and they drive it straight through the bloody door, and the people run over the top and go and steal everything. And I think this is a case where you're better off not living in these big cities.
Yeah.
For things like that, you know, London, Birmingham, Manchester, Northampton, Bedford, Luton, all these big towns have the possibility to be like a fucking nuke going off, but with people.
Yeah. So I mean, if your advice to somebody that is in that situation, maybe obviously the first advice would be move out, but if they can't, would it be a bug out plan?
I think the thing is like, if anything goes down like that on a big scale, and I've been around, I used to live in a place in Northampton called Bellinge, and they had riots in there. Really rough council estate. There was lots of riots and stuff there. The first thing you're going to need to do is stay the fuck out of it. If it's not your problem, lock yourself away and don't get involved. Don't be seen out. You know, if you don't have to go out and get involved, don't. You know, because this is the thing, is like, what happens when you put yourself in that environment, you're putting a risk to yourself, and like you're like a target, because people, when they're in these situations, they just go and hit anyone. You know, it don't matter who you are. It's like, you know, it's a bit of fun, because what happens when you get the riots, you also get the dickheads come out.
Yeah.
You know, the dickheads that like to beat people up or loot places or rob places. You know what I mean? So it's I would say, if my advice, if anything goes down big like that and you can't get out, it's just knuckle down, you know, secure the doors, secure the windows as best you can, and just keep your head down for a couple of days.
Ride it out, yeah.
Yeah, it tends to blow over, doesn't it, eventually?
Yeah, you'd like to hope so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's interesting, because I've had a couple on the podcast before, and they left after the London riots because of that very reason, and they saw it and they moved out into a rural environment. So now, are you prepping for any specific scenario now, or is it just a case of be ready for anything?
I think it's like, kind of be ready for anything. To be honest, I'm not really into politics. I don't do politics. I think it's all bollocks. But to be honest, it's like, but I think it's like, if you look at the way the world's going, the economy's rising, the food prices are going up,
ridiculously quick.
Ridiculous. Rents are going up. I mean, it's not going to be long before people are going to the streets to rob people. The way it's going. You know, it's like, and like I say, we grow our own food, we preserve our own food. We try to take that threat out of it. Do you know what I mean? So if the shops went tits up, we would still have a way to get food, or the knowledge to get food.
Yeah.
But I would say prepping more for like maybe food shortages, civil unrest, the usual things that come with like just economic rise.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So more like the gradual deterioration of that kind of society.
I can't see, to be honest, mate, I can't see anything kicking off, as in kicking off. Because if you notice here, we have a habit of like, whatever agendas go on, you know, whether it's like the BLM thing with George Floyd or whoever he was, or whether it's the London riots where that kid, do you know what I mean? So it's like, obviously, I don't want to say too much in detail, but obviously, when things like this happen, I don't think English people are like they used to be. You know, they don't fight for the cause like they used to. So they tend to fizzle out these things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's just a case of like not being too worried about, again, with the fear of these things going off in the first place. I think what they're doing is they're doing a slow burn on people. So they're driving people down. They're rising the rents. Do you know what I mean? They're rising the rents. It's like everywhere you go, so expensive. You know,
Yeah.
even to grow your own food, it's like it's so expensive. It's not
Yeah.
cheap. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like I think in answer to your question, it would be probably civil unrest or all the things linked to economic crisis.
Yeah.
You know, really.
Yeah. So it more of our own doing than some random invasion or
Yeah, I can't see aliens or even Putin. Like, do you know what I mean? I can't see
not
any of that.
getting on the lizard people bandwagon.
You know, it's like, and to be honest, it's like I did a video and I said, like, you know, why we prepare and why people prepare. And some of the reasons I've heard are amazing. Do you know what I mean? It's literally some people are like aliens, some people are lizard people, like you say. You know, some people are a meteor. So, and it's like, and I just think like you're living your life in fear over something that you don't even know exists, like aliens. I said, like, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Just fucking go and get yourself a nice 15-year-old whiskey. Go and enjoy yourself, mate, and fucking like live life.
There's enough crap in our own world without worrying about somebody else.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
And
I started prepping. I generally have always had a pantry. You know, I've always had that kind of mentality. Always had a sewing box. Always had a first aid box. So I've always kind of been there. It was studying started getting into like observing the sun and stuff like that. And when I found out about the Carrington event, that's the kind of thing that made me think more about what kind of effects that could have. So that kind of boosted me. But you find yourself, you could get really sucked in. And I think a lot of people forget, and they either throw it like the people you're on about, where you said they're waiting for something to happen so they can suddenly thrive and become king.
Yeah.
It needs to be a sideline. It needs to be a back burner. It needs to be just in case, but enjoy your life, right?
Yeah.
You know, it can't be the be all and end all.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've learned so much in my prepper journey, though. To be honest, it's like I do courses. I got kicked off TikTok or Instagram, one of them, because I shared a deer skinning course I attended. So I learned how to like prepare deer.
You offended the vegetarians and vegans.
I had vegan hate all over the place, but it was like, to be honest, it's like I wanted to know everything I could. So as well as the homesteading, I learned to fish because I couldn't fish. I live on the coast. And I sat there, and this guy on my group, and he's going like, "You live on the coast. Why do you not know how to fish?" I was going, "Do you know, I've never done it." So I had lessons on how to fish. So now I went on a YouTube video after having 4 lessons how to fish, and I did a YouTube video, and it was funny as fuck because I literally caught 5 fish in a row. I was just doing the YouTube video, and I was just like, I might catch one if I'm lucky, just showing the technique how to do it.
Yeah,
it was codling, you know, whiting. Play sea bass. It was just like, and I was like, what the fuck? It was like, but fishing and all these skills, I think, are so important.
Yeah, definitely. You know? Skills are key for everything. I think if you had the choice between the skill set and all the equipment in the world, I'd definitely pick the skill set.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, can I ask you? Obviously, you're on YouTube. It's a really good channel.
Thank you.
I've watched quite a lot of the videos. Have you had the same sticker as me where people say, "Oh, you can't be a prepper," and on YouTube it's OPSEC?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the reason as well, we don't get as many views as other channels because we are prepper. I mean, I changed my name to Urban Survivalist. I was a UK prepper guy. That was my name on YouTube, and it was taken off, and people liked that name. But what happened was YouTube didn't like it. So it was like literally I was getting suppressed. My videos, and I'd ask people, I'd say, can you have a look at this video? Is it shit? Because I'm quite open. I feel like if it's shit, I'll work on it and do better. Yeah. And loads of people, literally hundreds and hundreds of people said, no, the video is really good. And I was like, it had like 15 views.
Yeah.
And it's like, so.
It's weird. It's very weird. It's in waves. I've had really good hits and the same quality of video, I'll get nothing. It's strange.
Yeah. But I think you started talking about OPSEC and that. So I changed my name to the Urban Survivalist. I seem to be getting a few more views since then. But I kind of changed towards the more prepsteader lifestyle than the prepper lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So before, where I used to be like, oh, fucking woe is me, like we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and like bugging in, bugging out, bug out bags. It's like, you know, weapons. It's like, I started turning into like, what would happen if I didn't have all that?
Yeah.
So what would happen if I didn't have weapons? What would happen if I didn't have a tent? What would happen if I didn't have that? What would happen if I didn't have no food?
Yeah.
You know,
The
I mean,
scenario based. Yeah.
exactly. So we go from everything now to, like I said before, we forage, we grow our own food, we preserve our own food, we grind our own wheat and make our own sourdough bread.
Mm-hmm.
We do all these things that if we didn't have all the equipment, all I would basically need is a knife and some bits and pieces. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and we've got all the equipment for that we need already. So,
Yeah. I
you
saw
know.
your review on the Chinese grinder, was it?
Oh
For the
yeah,
wheat?
I use
Yeah.
that every day. It's wicked.
It lasted a while then. It's good.
Yeah, it's still going. It sounds like a motorbike when it goes off. The neighbours are like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
But
But it's
I like that. It does feel like that's my natural progression, because I'm the reason I was urban prepper was purely because when I was looking around, you look at all the channels and you see these Americans that have got a huge lands and stuff like that.
yeah.
I don't even have a garden.
Mm.
I've got a yard that's as width of a wheelie bin, and that's it.
But this is what we do on Facebook, Mike. So basically what we do is we called ourselves the Urban Prep-steaders. My wife has got a channel called the Urban Prep-steaders, which was part of what we did.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to get people to be more self-sufficient in small spaces.
Yeah.
I mean, our garden's tiny. I mean, our garden's probably, I say tiny, it's like probably 5 meters by 5 meters. It's not huge.
Yeah.
You know, we've got an allotment as well, but what we wanted to do was get more people going, like, you know, instead of having like a shitload of concrete out there, I can have a raised bed out there and I could grow food for like 3 or 4 weeks in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, instead of just going to the shop and like fucking buying like bags and bags of flour and rice and all this shit and oats and everything, I can literally buy organic wheat berries. I can grind it myself and store it, and it's going to last twice as long.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I was trying to get more people thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
That it is possible to like provide your own food in small urban areas.
Yeah.
You know,
it's interesting. I'll definitely have to check out the Facebook thing, because it's something. I mean, I'm looking to move now, and I want something that's half decent garden so I can do that, because I do feel like it's the natural progression. You can only stockpile so much stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And let's be honest, if it was a real Teotihuacan situation, whether you've got 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years supply of stuff, you've still got to find an ongoing source, right?
Exactly.
If you can't grow, if you can't filter water, if you can't do all this stuff, then at some point there's a cutoff.
Absolutely. And I think as well, it's like when we go back to the local knowledge thing, I mean, I've sourced all livestock farms, anything that I need to know. I mean, me and my brother went camping. We went wild camping one week, and we come across, I think it was a herd of 15 deer, just like come across us in the woods.
Yeah.
So we know that there's like a lot of people who say they're going to go and hunt and they're going to do this. Whether they've got the skills to do it or not is another thing. Do you know what I mean? Because
whether they've got the stomach is another thing.
Exactly. It's like, it's I mean, I did a pigeon video, just taking the breasts off pigeon.
Yeah.
And the amount of hate I got from it, and I was saying to it, and this is from preppers, and I said, well, like, how can you be a prepper and not want to procure your own food, like your meat?
Yeah.
And it's like, one of them said I was vegan. I said, well, I'm not getting into that. I said, like, whatever, you know, you can't win an argument with someone that doesn't eat meat, you know, about procuring meat. So, but I said, like, this other guy, and I said, like, if you're a prepper, pretty much what you said, your tin food is only going to go so far, or somebody's going to come and take it. They're going to be starving. What we need to do is we need to go that next step, what you're saying, and be able to, like, if all our food is taken, like if everyone come and took my stash now, I know that I could get meat, vegetables, fruit, and the vitamins and nutrients for me and my family to get by.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's like, I think not enough people are thinking about it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, there's lots of preppers are short-term thinkers, which is weird because you think it should be a natural thing that you're thinking long-term. And like I say, it's the society though we're in. We are so detached from what's on the supermarket shelves. When they go down the meat aisle, I'm not talking about the vegans and vegetarians here. You know, you do your own thing. But the people that eat meat, I mean, my missus is one of them. If it's in a tray with a lovely bit of plastic over, oh, that's nice. That's chicken. I'll eat that.
Yeah.
If I give her a chicken, said pluck that, pull the guts out, you know, cut the breasts off, do all that. No chance. Not a chance. That's horrible. I can't do that. But they're completely detached from what's actually on the shelf.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, this is why I learned to fish, because I was a chef. I knew how to scale and fillet fish and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story I had for the fish. I was I've learned to fish, and I've gone back. I've done a couple of times, done my YouTube video. I went back on my own a couple of times, and no one was catching anything on there. So I've just like, so I brought my line in, and there was this fish, and it was probably like, not big. We're probably talking about 10 inches, like that. Maybe a bit smaller. Yeah, probably about 7 or 8 inches. Yeah, smaller. So I said to this fisherman, I said, "What's this?" He's gone, "That's a weaver fish." He's gone, "Don't touch it because they hurt." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So he got it off. Weaver fish is one of the only poisonous fish in the UK.
Yeah.
The spines are poisonous, as you know, right? So he threw it back into me. So 20 minutes later, still there's something like 20 fishermen there. No one's caught a fucking sausage, right? I've caught one weaver fish, right?
Yeah.
So I put the line in, I pull it out again. I feel a bite on the line, so I pull it out. There's a different fish there. This one's about 6 inches long, right? So I thought, had really dodgy looking spines as well. And I thought, well, that was a weaver fish. This isn't a weaver fish. So I went to take it off, and it pierced me straight through my finger. And everyone's flapping around. They're going, "Oh, the last person had anaphylactic shock with this." And I was like, "Oh, fucking brilliant." So
go fishing, they said. It'll be relaxing, they said.
I've got fucking like, and his spine broke off. It's still in my finger. They couldn't take it out because it went in the bone. It was really powerful.
Wow.
So, and it made me think, in a shit hits the fan situation, because I've got these fishermen rushing me to hospital, and I'm just like, I'm on some sort of drug, because apparently they inject adrenaline into you. So I'm like Crank from the film Crank.
Yeah.
But it made, I got into hospital, I'm rabbiting away like this, and fucking like, they checked my heart rate. My heart rate was something stupid. She said, "Have you been on like amphetamines or anything like that?" I said, "No, I've been stung by a fish." She said, "A fish? You don't get stung by a fish in the UK." And I was like, but anyway, so it got me thinking about what would I have done because that was a lack of knowledge on the fish. That was on my part. I put my hands up to that, because I should have known what those dangerous fish were and stayed away from it.
Yeah.
But what would I have done, and shit hits the fan, if that was my kid or something that took that off the line and was poisoned or anything like that? And it brings it home to you that, like, the more knowledge you can have, the better. No amount of equipment would have helped me in that situation.
Yeah. And there's nothing worse to feel helpless.
Yeah.
As a parent, especially, if something happens, to not be able to do anything is probably my biggest fear. So yeah,
every day is a school day, isn't it?
Well, this is one of the preps I never did until recently is I've started building a library because of medical books, everything like that. Because it's all right. It's all right. I know roughly what to do if this happens. I've looked at triaging and stuff like that, and then there's always going to be something, right? Something like that. I wouldn't have known that, not to take that fish off. So
yeah,
it is scary, but yeah, knowledge is power, definitely.
Do you know the best book, if you can read it, is it's Sergio someone, the geezer that escaped from Serbia.
All right.
I forgot the name of it. And I actually spoke to a guy who was in the troubles in Serbia and stuff like that. And he told me, I literally had a 3-hour chat with him about, like, because that was urban survival. That was literally urban survival. He said they got woods. Nobody went to the woods. Everybody was in the urban areas. It was fucking vile. It was violent. It was aggressive. So it's like, I was kind of getting an insight from someone who'd actually been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is the thing. It's one of the things I mentioned quite a few times, and it comes up in a lot of podcasts as well, that you can prepare as much as you want, but if you don't mentally, train or condition yourself, you don't know how you're going to react in that situation. You know, when it's actually people at your door, when the wolves are at the door, how you're going to react is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and you can't train that to a degree, but you can do the best you can. You know, the less you've got to think about on the spot, the more you can deal with it, I think.
I mean, it's like the wild camping bushcraft type preppers. I was talking to one guy and he said, like, I'm going to bug out to the woods. I said, have you ever spent the night in the woods on your own? And I said, the first time I did it, I almost shit myself. I said, like, literally,
What's that
I
noise?
said, I went out.
What's that noise?
It was like, I was in there and I mean, I got a tent and everything, but I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And there's this little scratching at the side of the tent. I'm like, what the fuck? What's that? What's that? And it puts you on edge, right? And I found out after not sleeping for 4 hours, thinking it was something bad, it was a mouse. And the mouse kept coming out because I closed the tent up and I watched it from afar. And it came out this little hole and it was scratching at the tent and going away. And I spent 5 hours lack of sleep, worried about a mouse. It's the noises. And if you're not used to it,
oh yeah,
it can, and direction as well, you know. So it's like, again, it's knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah, I was out and I had lots of rustling in a bush that was like set away from where I was set up. I was kind of in the open, but a few trees around and stuff like that, with a river nearby. And there's kept rustling, and it was louder and louder. And I'm thinking, it sounded like something big. And I kept thinking, that's right, I'm gonna have to go and check, sort of thing. So I had one of these, you know, one of the garage torches where it says the power of 1,000,000 candles.
Yeah.
I had one of them and I shone it across this bush and I saw about 6 sets of eyes. And it was foxes. It was
wow.
There was loads of them, and they were just what sounded like something big because there was just lots of them just
doing
the thing. There was no harm in the end, but it's just weird because your mind in that situation, your mind really does.
Absolutely, it does play tricks for you.
Yeah. So, 5 hours lack of sleep for a mouse. It's the prepper version of the Princess and the Pea story, isn't it?
You never learn. This is the thing, you never learn, my friend.
Right. So you said you're not political, so let's go political. No, I just wanted to touch on. We just had this government guidance out, this prepare site. That one, prepare.campaign.gov.uk. Have you had a look at this?
No, and I'll tell you why. The government, gov.uk, has always had a prepper part on it, and people have never noticed, right? They've always advised you since years and years to prepare food and water for 3 days. This has been a thing that I've known about for years. It's been on there, right? But what happens is I find this almost gaslighting with them. Does that make sense? Because basically what they're doing, they tell you to prepare, and then you're getting messages on Facebook. Do you know someone who's too prepared? The government saying we need to crack down on preppers because they're far-right terrorists. It's like, and I'm just like, hang on a minute. It's like, hang on a minute. You tell people to prepare, but when they do prepare, they're fucking nutcases. It's like,
rough translation. We're going to crack down on preppers because we don't want anyone to be self-sufficient, and we want everyone suckling at our teat.
Exactly, pretty much.
That's my YouTube. I think that's YouTube monetization gone.
Oh yeah, it's. I think the thing is like we live in very strange times, and I think any government that is against self-sufficiency, I mean, you look at places in America, you can't even collect fucking rainwater. Now, who owns the fucking rainwater? Not them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, this is all power. And I think at the end of the day, you know, we need political structure and stuff like that. I get that, you know, but it's like, when you're against people preparing for an emergency, but you're telling them to prepare for an emergency, now that is proper fucking one flew over the cuckoo's nest, isn't it? That's proper.
It's just odd because I mean 3 days seems like nothing to me, and I get. I mean, my only thought is it could be a case of like 70s and brownouts and stuff like that, and maybe you know, we're going to cut the power off for 3 hours every Sunday to save electricity, and they might be kind of preparing people like that. But my question is, if it's something they've always advised, why the sudden campaign? Why all of a sudden we're going to launch this new site and make a deal of it and actually tell people to do this out of the blue? and in the same week say, "Oh, I'm going to hold an election."
Yeah, exactly. I think. See, it's quite difficult for me on politics because I think they're all connected. I think Labour and Conservative, they all have their advisors. They all work together. I don't think anyone's different to the other. I think they're all full of shit.
No,
and I think that's it.
they promise this far this way or this far this way,
Yeah.
but none of them stray off the middle path because that's what pays the bills.
And the thing is, with the English political system, it's rigged, so no one else can get in. It's very clever. It's very clever how it's done, you know. But it's like when you got to choose from. Who was it before? It was like, I mean, I don't even vote, but it was Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, what a fucking pair! It's like, you know, it's like in America, it was fucking Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, wasn't it, or something like that? It was like, and I'm just like, but going back to the prepper thing, I think, to be honest, there's a lot of big names that play in the whole political world anyway.
Yeah.
Now, are preppers dangerous to society? Probably a few are. I'm not saying, you know, no, there's a few cases out there.
We know there's some people in our community with the screw.
Yeah.
We see them all the time, you know.
I mean, you know, the bloke in his camouflage pants running around the streets with a crossbow, you know. But you get the idea. I get that there are some dangers to there, but the thing is, self-sufficiency also gives you, like you say, you don't have that dependency so much on the government.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which makes them lose their kind of power over you. Does that make sense? Because if they go to me, right, we're cutting off the electric, fuck it, I'll deal with it. I've got gas stoves. I've got I'll deal with it. I can make fires. I've got rocket stoves. I've got whatever I need there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, you can't get through from the shop. Okay, I'll forage. I'll grow. You know, we've got like tins of shit that we've preserved over the last 2 years that are still good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and when COVID happened, it was quite funny because everyone was going out panic buying, and we was just sitting there thinking, "What the fuck's the matter with everyone?" You know?
Yeah. Well, this is I liked when that happened only for the reason that I could justify it to family, saying, "This is why you need to do it. This is why you need to." Now, do you see how quickly a lot
of people did see it though. A lot of people did see it. I think my ex came up to me and she said, like, yeah, I think you was right. I've started like storing stuff and like learning to do stuff and stuff like that with her husband and that. And I'm just like, that's all I say. It's like, just learn to do something basic.
Yeah. Do you think a campaign like this from the government though will breed more preppers? Because it kind of does put the focus on. I mean, they kind of give with one hand and take back with the other because they say we don't want anyone to become a prepper, but we need to be prepared for this. And it's like you just contradicting yourself. And is bad advice worse than no advice, or is it a step in the right direction?
I think, to be honest, I think it's like when people are prepping, what I found, and I found this because I'm kind of like that. I found that most of society do not have the capability for independent thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So if the government tells them to do something, they'll do it. So it might not be a bad thing for now. Do you know what I mean? Whatever their future goal is, you know, I don't know, but I think if anyone can get into prepping and just like have the security, I mean, like you say, 3 days is fuck all, is it? I mean, I know people that could eat 3 days food in half hour.
Yeah. I've done it. I know.
yeah, me too.
No, but it's the weird thing for me. It's like everyone's concentrating on disasters and stuff like that, but don't prepare for that. Prepare for the fact that if you lost your job, how are you going to feed your family? Prepare for the fact if for some reason the shops close. Not saying it's any major disaster or anything, but if they're closed for a week, be ready for that. And it's just kind of like common sense to me. But I've pulled this up because I highlighted a comment because I don't know who they consulted to word this website, but in one section it's talking about the power cuts, and it says, in a power cut, your TV or internet might not be working. I mean, who's that aimed at? Does somebody have a Calagas TV? And I don't understand. It's just really badly done.
I think their whole campaigns, everything is like, and you think these people have the best psychologists in the world working for them. Apparently, you know, it's like the best with everything. It's like, so I don't know where they come up with half of this shit. It's like, to be honest, it's like there's better ways of doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But like you say, the whole disaster thing, I think it's too focused upon. Do I think there'll ever be nuclear war? No, I don't.
I
And the
hope you're
reason
right.
I don't think it will. I mean, a lot of people think it will. I mean, when you look into nuclear power, nuclear weapons, who has them, and whatever, it makes you change your mind a lot. And I think the thing is with people don't look too much into things. They take things at face value.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like, you know, someone could go, oh, like that water just comes out of the tap for that, right? That's it. You know, but when you look into that, you realize where the water's cleaned and what's going on behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's really important to do that. And it does dispel a lot of your fear because, like, you go, hang on a minute, fucking, like, that's that. Hang on, yeah, you know. So it's like,
hang on.
do I
So,
think there's gonna?
are you telling me that all these really popular, famous, million subscriber preppers who are telling me the nuclear missiles are going to launch tomorrow every single week are wrong?
I just think they're paid well.
But I don't think there'd be a full-on war because of mutually assured destruction. You've got to be tapped, right? You've got to be tapped.
Yeah.
A dirty bomb is another story because terrorists are a different level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I say that I don't think there'll ever be nuclear war, but do I own NBC gear and gas masks? Yes, I do, just in case. You know what I mean? So it's like I never say never with anything.
Yeah.
But I would say nowadays, even civil unrest, people are just not like they used to be. It's really weird. It's like, you know, you tell people they can't do something. Back in the day, you know, with the miners' strikes and all stuff like that, they'd be on the street fucking trying to rip them out of Parliament. Now they're just like, okay. Yeah. It's like society's been dumbed down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'd be completely subdued. It's a subdued nation, you know. It's getting worse and worse the more they try to ban things and stuff like that. And it's just it begs me to emigrate sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to a woman today, I said I'd love to go. I got invited by one of my group members to go to Texas.
Been there, love the place. That's where I'd emigrate to.
He's offered to pay for me, and I said, but like, I wasn't going to do the whole vaccine thing to go over to America on the plane. So I said, like, literally, he said, well, I've got a private jet. I'll send you a private jet over for you and your family, and we'll take you to Texas. You can come and stay with us for a few months. And I was like, what?
That's a good friend to have.
Yeah, and I was like, I said to my wife, he's either really good or he's a serial killer. But
no,
you know, it's like
I got offered a job
get
there.
The immigration.
Yeah, I got offered a job there, and at the time,
Texas?
yeah, the time my partner I was with decided, you know, no, I'd rather live in the northwest of England. I still don't know why to this day, but yeah, it's I've been there visiting a few times and it's awesome. It really is. If you get a chance, go, definitely take you up as offer.
Yeah.
You know, prepare for the serial killer side, but you know, take you up on the I'll tell you, we'll start to come to the end, and one thing I do want to get from you, which is always good, is I do get a lot of new preppers on this channel. I get a lot of people that are coming on for the first time, finding it for the first time, only just started. You know, they've got the 3 days worth of food, so obviously they're covered for everything. But what's your advice for a brand new prepper or somebody wanting to be prepared?
Well, first of all, I always think about the major things, so like water, shelter, fire, the same as you would in the bushcraft. So make sure that you've got water stored. One tip that I will give new preppers, and a lot of people still don't do this, even experienced preppers, water, if it's left still, becomes dead. Okay, so if you store water, shake the bottles every now and then. Only have to do it every couple of months or so, and just go in there, get that water moving. And because it can become stagnant, even bottled water.
Yeah.
So stock up on your grains, like your carbohydrates. So your things like your wheat, your flour, your oats, you know, your pastas, your rice, and all stuff like that. Also have protein. So have a different variety of stuff stored, not just like shitty ration packs, because I can't stand them.
Oh yeah, especially the chemical-filled ones.
As a new prepper, I would say store water, store food, not too much. You know, store batteries, a torch. I wouldn't even bother with radio. A waste of time. It's only propaganda on it most of the time. But you know, it's like all these basics that you have a good knife. Definitely have a good knife. Have a fire steel or a ferro rod. Have the basics for a bug out bag. Have the basics for bugging in and bugging out. Also, walkie-talkies, perimeter walkie-talkies. Or comms. You know.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to think about with prepping.
Absolutely.
It's not just 300 cans of beans in
Yeah.
a cupboard somewhere.
And learn a new skill. If I could say to any new prepper, and I've got so many people on my group, and that's what I'm so thankful for, is when I started the group, I've managed to get so many people growing their own food, preserving their own food. I've got people when they started weren't doing shit. Now, canning, doing all the sorts of stuff, you know?
Yeah. So we'll leave it with that. Top tip, learn a new skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Don't forget to head over to the Urban Survivalist's YouTube. It's on the screen now, but it'll also be linked in the description. So click on that, give him a sub, and check out his content. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Would you like to say goodbye to the lovely folks?
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and hopefully see you again at some point.
Definitely. And from me, don't forget, usual, like, subscribe, give us a comment below, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye.